One of the most important skills as an investor is to know when to let go, when to cut your losses and move on. Because sometimes the longer you hold something, the deeper the hole that you dig yourself, which makes it nearly impossible to get out of. So here are the 4 stocks in my portfolio right now that I just got to let go of. I need to move on, and let's just go ahead and break it down. Now, I'm not a perfect investor, okay? I don't think there is a such thing as a perfect investor. There are some stocks that do incredibly well. We talked a lot about those. I'll talk about some of those here today. And then we've got some that don't do well. And I talked about in a video last week, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes the market just changes. Sometimes the company goes through stuff. We're going to talk about that as well. And then other times, you may have misread in something, right? But the main thing is, number one, I want to give you transparency that, hey, I'm not perfect, okay? And number two, going back and understanding what went wrong can help you to become a better investor in the future. So you may be able to learn from a few of these mistakes as well. But first, let's talk about the positives. Now, this is not my end of year, here's what's going into my portfolio video just yet, okay? I want to wait just a few more weeks, do a little bit more research, and hopefully have a few more stocks to continue to grow. But as we're talking about the negatives, yes, there are still great stocks that I do own, okay? Because this could be the first video you see is, hey, this guy's terrible, okay? So I'm just looking at my portfolio right now. We've got FICO is up 12%. I know that's one that we talked about in Insider Members Only. I added this one back in June. O'Reilly is up 100% still. You know, the Apples, the Microsofts, the Googles, I have all those as well. I also added Lam Research, that is LRCX, is doing quite well as of late. And those are just a few of the top line. And then y'all saw the video I did about NVIDIA. I'm up 200 and some crazy percent there, and you see the screenshots of those. Now, all that's fine, but you lose sometimes, okay? And that is normal, but the key is you want to have more stocks that are doing well than those that are not. Here are the ones who are not, and the ones I gotta let go of, okay? The first one is Ford. I'm disappointed in Ford. Ford used to be $20. It is half of that right now. And now a part of that recently is because of the auto worker strike. That makes sense as to why Ford would be hurting right now. However, that's only been happening this year, right? And not even the entire year of 2023. And I think I bought Ford back in 2021. So I've been patient. I have waited things out. Things had done okay. There were some earnings reports in there that they were doing quite well, and they were on the up and up. But that momentum has really kind of strung out. I should have sold after that first year or so, taking my profits and left. Didn't do that. L, right? I just take an L on that one. So unfortunately, that one has to go. It hasn't, obviously it's not doing well. I don't know where this auto strike thing is going to go. I never thought that Ford was going to be the next Tesla. Never thought that, but I did think it was going to be a positive return and that they were going to make up some level of ground. That just hasn't been the case. Next here, I'm upset anytime I lose, right? I think anytime you make a mistake, you're not necessarily going to be excited about it. Smuckers hurt me, okay? The stock is SJM. Right now it's down 31%. And it hurts for a few reasons, because a part of it is, one, the market just shifted. And this is what we had talked about in a video last week. We know that last year in 2022, tech stocks were awful. They were absolutely awful last year, and defensive stocks, including insurance stocks, were doing quite well, like Progressive, right? We did a whole video on Progressive last year, showed you how much I had made on it and when I got out and all that type of stuff. Smuckers was doing similar numbers. They were doing quite well. And then by the time I got into Smuckers, everybody was leaving those stocks and going into tech, and that is where we saw this tech boom in 2023. Okay, that's a part of the losses. A bigger part is, at least when I was holding the company, is when we saw that when they bought Hostess, the brand maker, the brand that makes Twinkies. Usually when company A buys company B and for a significant price, you start to see those stocks fall, and they tend to do that pretty consistently. This happened a lot with Amazon in 2021 and 2022 when they bought iRobot, the maker of Zumba, when they bought MGM Studios and all the other stuff that Amazon had been buying in that 2-year span. Go back and look at how well Amazon was doing between 2021 and 2022 compared to 2023. You'll notice that as Amazon got a lot quieter on acquisitions, the company started to do a lot better. Well, SJM, Smuckers, just said this year they were buying that company just a few months ago. I don't think things are going to go well in the short term. If I'm already down 30 and I don't expect things to get any better, it might be time for me to let it go. Now, the only good thing, not the only good thing, the primary good thing about the company is the dividends do offset a good chunk of these losses. So I might not be down exactly 30%. It's likely a little bit less, probably a lot less based on the dividends because those were healthy. But I've got another set of defensive companies that are doing quite well. I might as well just switch this out for one of those to get a better level of performance for my entire portfolio. Next one here, this one, again, any company that you lose money on hurts. Okay, now the reason why I'm not in panic mode, the reason why I'm not, pulling out my hair and all kind of stuff is because, again, we own index funds, right? We have way more stocks that are doing well than those that aren't. So this is only 4, thankfully, and not half my portfolio, right? But Hershey, why? Why is Hershey here? Hershey, for me, is down nearly 28%. The company fell off a cliff for no known reason. And this is very similar to PayPal, very similar to Square. Well, I told y'all back then, I owned it, things were going well, and then it fell off a cliff. I said, hey, look, I don't know why you're falling, but it's time for me to get out. And things got so much worse for those companies, and I'm glad I cut my losses when I did. Well, when it comes to Hershey, if you look at a chart for Hershey, Hershey pretty much goes in a straight line up until May of 2023. Guess who bought it in June of 2023? Me. Again, from what I've read, from what I've seen, there's nothing really wrong with Hershey. But for it to slide down nearly 30% in just 6 months, less than 6 months, honestly, it ain't great. Okay, and I'm not happy about it. Yes, they pay a solid dividend. Yes, I still like the company, but I can't stand for that, especially when I see so many other companies doing much better in the same category or just in that defensive category as a whole. I would love to come back and own Hershey, maybe come back and own Smuckers at some point in time. So they're going to stay on my, the back part of my watch list in case they start to kind of creep back up, and maybe we'll hop back on them at that point in time. But I mean, if you go back to my Twitter page, you'll see I've been talking glowingly about Hershey for maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years. And all during that time, the stock was great up until May of this year. And again, I didn't see any headlines in May that said that this should have occurred, and I haven't seen anything since that says or justifies why the stock has been on a consistent slide down. Now, there are some that say, hey, now you should buy Hershey, and that's great. That's not going to help me right now, okay? I don't know if that's going to be the case for me. And my thing is, it's really about the opportunity cost. Will Hershey get back to its winning ways at some point in time? All of these stocks certainly could. They all certainly could. The question is it better or faster for me to hop onto another company that's doing well at this point, having waited for this long, or should I just continue investing in it? For me, at this point, because I waited a year in some cases, I waited more than 6 months in some cases, it's just better for me to just go ahead and switch out and find something a lot better, which has worked throughout my career and throughout my portfolio many times before. Next one here is a company that I made money on. So yes, there are times, and we've done this several times before, where you make money on a company and you still let it go because you think things are going to continue for the worse, or you want to just protect the gains that you got. I did this with T-Mobile. We made like 15% or so there. Did the exact same thing for Nike about 2 years ago now. You guys can go back and check that video. We made like 7 or 8%. We got out of that, and you see what happened with Nike since. Okay, so this one is PCG. They are the electric company out of California. This stock was great. And I say was great as in it was, I think I was up maybe 30 to 35% at its peak. And now I'm only up 1. I'm going to take my 1%, I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay, so the main reason as to why is, one, yes, the company has lost a ton of momentum, and I want to just take what I got and move on before things do get worse. But also with Constellation Energy and the other energy companies that we talked about in yesterday's video, I could still get the benefit of energy without the threat of this becoming a much longer trend. So it just makes more sense to just swap those two things out as opposed to continue to hold something that just is not going in the right direction. So those are the ones that, just doesn't make any more sense for my portfolio. But for some people, it may still work for you. Also, if you're looking for something new to replace some of these companies with, or some of the companies you may own, you definitely want to check out the video that we did on defensive stocks, because these companies are doing quite well right now, and they tend to be pretty good for quote unquote all weather, meaning we don't know what's happening in 2024. The numbers say the economy is great, the people don't feel that way, and then we're going into election year, which can be sometimes volatile based on what is going on. So those are companies you absolutely want to check out. If you want to check out those companies, you can check out that video right here.